Okay, Dr. Little, you got 5.3. I know it's an update to the systems of great schools, or I should say high school quality seats.
All right. Chief Gomez-Perez and I are going to tag team this one. A couple of things to frame and remind us in the community on before we start. As we shared the quality school analysis with you at the last board meeting, we said we are coming back really soon to dig deeper into high schools. That's what this conversation is about. But it's not just about 2 weeks ago either. As the superintendent came into the district and was going about her listening tour and entry plan, there were clear sort of questions and comments and concerns about the overlap and duplication that exists in our high school space. So going back to last spring, this started to become a focal point of the conversation, so much so that high school started asking the superintendent, what are you going to do about this? Like, what's going to happen leading into the 24-25 school year? And what she and the administration shared is that nothing would happen right now, but we're going to keep studying this and looking at it and examining the data to figure out how we can be best organized as a system of great schools to ensure that we're getting the most excellent outcomes for our students. So tonight's conversation is not a start, it's a continuation of what's been going on for 8+ months in the organization. That'll be helpful as we go through this to remember sort of what's leading us to some of what you're going to hear from us tonight and the recommendation that we make. Wanted to start the conversation though just sort of by level setting, and hopefully this slide through a little bit of infographic helps around what the high school journey can look like. As we think about educational excellence and college career readiness at the high school level, what we're hoping to achieve is what's on the bottom of this slide, that every student coming to La Jolla ISD will be a career technical education completer. So they will have multiple courses in CTE, they will get that industry-based credential, and they will use that as a pathway to an associate's degree. So ideally, we have students who graduate with their high school diploma and their college diploma at the same time. That's not the only path, though, as we think about our high school work. Students can really take any or all of those options right now. So you can do what many of us probably traditionally did, where you just take some courses, you don't end up with any credential or other degree, but you get a high school diploma. That's sort of that top, most historical sort of pathway for students. And then as we progress through CTE, there's obviously different levels that we can go through, but just like we just discussed with the goal progress measure, we want students to become what the state calls a completer. So they get the entire pathway complete with the industry-based credential. As we unpack the rest of the presentation, know that our focus is really getting students to and through that associate's degree. So we're going to share some CTE data, but we're mostly going to focus tonight on what are we doing to boost dual credit and associate degree attainment in La Jolla ISD. And Chief Gomez-Perez is going to pick the next part up.
Thank you, Dr. Little. Good evening, everyone. So let's talk about La Jolla ISD and how we're currently duplicating some of the offerings that we have across high school. So when we looked at back in the spring, what are we offering, what are we doing well? And so how can we make sure that all of our students are getting good instruction regardless of where they are attending school? So what we have right now, if you look at the landscape of our schools, we have 3 comprehensive high schools. La Jolla High School has a school within a school, La Jolla Early College. We have the PTEC academies at Juarez Lincoln High School and Palmview High School. We also have our Academy of Health Sciences, and when you look at these specialty schools, Academy of Health Science, Thelma Salinas Early College High School, and Jimmy Carter Early College High School, when they first originated, so the intent of each one of these was very specific. And over the years, what we've been doing is duplicating services, and so some of those things have been replicated not just at the specialty schools, but also at our comprehensive high schools. And so the original intent of what we were meant to be with these specialty schools have kind of become a blur. And so you want to look at the Academy of Health Sciences, and so these were students that were still enrolled at the comprehensive high school, but were coming into the academy to focus on health sciences. And then in there, it became a STEM school. So these were first-generation students. At Thelma Salinas Early College High School, the original intent of that early college high school is for us to graduate students in as with associate degrees in STEM fields, the science, the engineering, those things within those STEM fields. And so the bulk of what we are doing at Telma Salinas Early College High School now is interdisciplinary studies. When you look at Jimmy Carter Early College High School, that intent for that particular school, which was the original early college, was looking at making sure that we are servicing students that may or may not have had access at college courses at a regular high school because of the population that they are representing. And so we wanted to make sure that at Jimmy Carter Early College High School, underserved students were being prepared for college courses and and have that support within those college courses. So let me give you a little bit of background of an early college high school. So when you look at the CCRSM model, what is the intent of an early college high school? And so the purpose of these schools was to support students who were least likely to attend college. And so we were going to give them that opportunity to take that first college class and be successful, and so that the students could come in and say, I can do this. I can move forward with all of those academic supports that they're getting, and so they're going to be able to do that. So that is the goal for these students, was to finish their high school diploma and get an associate degree, or up to those 60 college credit hours they could. The blueprints, so it's very specific to our early colleges. And so it's not just about, I want to be an early college, but I have to fill out an application if I want to be an early college high school and get designated through the state. And so there are certain benchmarks that I have to make sure that I am doing in order for this campus to be successful. And so we look at benchmarks, the school design, partnerships, target populations, the infrastructure, the student supports that we are giving. And then on top of all the accountability that we have within the state, STAR, EOCs, and CCRSM, and all of that, so early college high school also have to meet their outcome-based measures, our OBMs. And so they need to make sure that they're meeting access. Who are your target populations? And so are we servicing the students that we are designed to be servicing as an early college high school? Achievement. So it's not just about STAR, it's about how many kids are passing TSI. We just talked about our GPMs, and TSI is a big focus for us as a school district, ensuring, because that's part of that achievement. Are they earning those college hours? The 9 hours by the end of sophomore year, the 15 hours by the end of their junior year. And so those are part of that achievement. And then the degree attainment. So how many students do you have that are actually reaching that associate degree, or they are core complete, or they are staying within the early college model? And so just because there's a certain percentage that the early colleges need to meet from 9th grade to 12th grade. And so there is this whole system within the system that an early college needs to be following. So I wanted to share a little bit about that. So as we're looking at what we are doing within the pathways that we have within the district, and so we have, and I'm going to go back to CTE, 89% of our CTE pathways are being the same at every one of our comprehensive high schools. And so you have a list of all those CTE pathways at the 3 comprehensive high schools, and how we are duplicating services. Again, this is going to be a continuation of those quality seats within our high schools to see how is it that we can become better at what we're doing. If we keep replicating services, it's one of those things, more doesn't mean better. So we need to focus on what are the things that we need to be really doing for our students, because we need to get really good at some things, not really bad at everything. And so we want to take that focus for them. And so CTE is like this. When we start looking also within the school offerings, and so I'm going to transition to what are we offering for associate degrees? We are replicating services at each one of our schools, and we are not focusing on what we were intended to do as the early college, as the specialty, our academies, our PTEC. So you're looking at all of these degrees that were offered, and so that's putting a strain on our staff, on our budget, on our spaces, and everything, because we're trying to give so many associate degrees, and so in doing such, we may be failing along the way in providing those student supports so that they can be successful at the end. We just looked at, again, at our goal progress measures, and we talked about TSI, we talked about the associate degrees, we talked about the CTE certifications. We need to be intentional, we need to be focused in what we are doing within all of our spaces, and wherever we have really good student supports, replicate those services so that every student, whether it's at an early college or a comprehensive high school, they're able to have those same supports so that they can be academically successful within our high school, but also when they leave us. We don't want them to just graduate, we want them to graduate with power, so which is what we talked about last time with our presentation on the quality seats analysis. So there we go. We have all of these programs, and yet we have widely disparate outcomes within our schools. And so we say we're doing all this, but are really, really delivering on the promise that we're giving our students whenever we're recruiting our freshman classes. So when we look at our degrees earned and where we are concentrated, so we have 71% of the degrees earned are concentrated in just 1 or 2 of the 10 pathways that we have right now. We look at interdisciplinary studies, and so interdisciplinary studies is the biggest, amount of associate degrees that we have within the school district, and we only, if we look at degree plans and crosswalks, interdisciplinary studies should only be offered at La Jolla Early College and at Jimmy Carter Early College. And so you're looking at all of those numbers where, again, we're spreading and we're falling short on the promise that we're giving our students. So that'll give you the numbers of where we are at with associate degrees. Then you also want to look at when we recruit our freshmen, there's a certain percentage of our student population, and total here is 38% of our students in our high schools is 38%. And of those 38%, we have only 47% of our students actually graduating with an associate degree. You've seen this slide before when we talked about the quality seats analysis. And so you're looking at where are we with our STC success metrics. But I want you to think about this slide in a different format this time around. When you're looking at the success metrics for STC, I want you to think about the benchmarks that an early college or a school needs to have. Benchmark number 5 in those blueprints is all about student supports. And so student supports is our summer bridge programs that we have, the advising, the classroom supports that we're giving, and the college and career preparation that we are giving our students. So if you're looking at all of these things, we're looking at, as an early college, you need to be fulfilling everything for benchmark number 5. We only have Jimmy Carter Early College High School that is actually delivering on benchmark number 5, the student supports. So we're creating inefficiency and incoherence. So when we look at where are we with our associate degrees, so every degree, whether it's a bachelor's degree, an associate degree, we talk about we used to say basics, right? And so now it's the core curriculum. So the first 42 hours of any degree, associate degree or bachelor's, they're going to be the exact same thing. The speech, the English, the math, the US history, the government. And so when you start differentiating in those programs are going to be those very specific electives that you have at the end, the 6 specific electives for that degree. And so that's where we need to differentiate within those associate degrees. We also look at duplication, which is, we talked about staff and the budget as well. When we have the spaces that we have, we're putting a strain on our staff and our budget. And you can see within our specialty schools how much money we're spending just in the administrative and our office staff. So that's spurring the need for clarity, for focus, and for improved outcomes. We want to make sure that what we are doing as a district is going to be the best thing for our students. We want to make sure that those outcomes are beneficial to our students, for our families, and that we're getting them ready for college. So what we are proposing is a consolidation of our high school pathways to one standalone early college high school. And so the three comprehensive high schools. And so the consolidation will create clarity, cohesion, efficiency, and support improved outcomes, which is what we want. That if we have 100 freshmen coming in, we want 100 freshmen to leave the early college and graduate with at least those 60 hours that they need in order for them to be successful in college prep. So when we're looking at our 4 specialty schools, we are recommending or proposing the consolidation into that one early college high school, which is Jimmy Carter Early College High School. We are not looking at making any changes to our comprehensive high schools within the 25-26 school year, but we still need to look at what are those pathways that we are replicating at the school. And so we want to look at those as well as we are looking at those quality seats analysis. So the degree pathways, when we looked at that spreadsheet of what are those associate degrees that we are sharing, that the kids are getting at these specialty schools. So we want to go from 8 pathways to the 3 pathways that make up 84% of what we are currently doing right now within our schools. And so that recommendation is the interdisciplinary studies, whether it's the arts or whether it's the science, where we're still giving the students the opportunity to take those electives within the field that they are wanting to have. The biology, that's going to focus on our health sciences, and then teaching at the elementary or the secondary level.
One other thing to say here, as we think about consolidating these pathways, this is a consolidation at the early college high school. We would still have some of these pathways available at our comprehensive sites. You heard earlier that Juarez Lincoln offers a P-TECH pathway in criminal justice. That would continue. So the criminal justice pathway is still available at the district level at Juarez. Palmview offers a P-TECH pathway in precision manufacturing. That would continue as well. So if students are interested in that, Palmview is a location to participate in that coursework and that opportunity. La Jolla High School right now does not have a P-TECH program or a pathway. That's something we will work to build over the next roughly school year and a half to make sure that they too have a P-TECH that can lead to an associate's degree. So every one of our comprehensive high schools would have a P-TECH associate degree option, and then at the singular early college high school, we would have these 3 high impact pathways as options as well. Through all of this, we want to be incredibly supportive of our students and families through this transition. And so there's a couple things we want to unpack that will help us do that. The first, many students and families are going to say, okay, what does this actually mean for me? If I understand and agree, that's great, but what is it going to mean for my student right now who's sitting in class taking courses for an associate's degree? If you are a current 10th or 11th grader, nothing is going to change other than maybe the building you show up to every day. So if you're that few students who are in the physics pathway, we're still going to offer that to make sure you can complete because you've already started some of that coursework. So even if you're in one of those pathways that we may not offer in the future at the early college, you still have the next 2 years to get that done as a current sophomore and junior. If you're a current 9th grader, you haven't started taking any of those specialty courses yet. In fact, you may not have taken a dual credit course at all at this point in your journey. So if you're choosing to stay at the early college, Jimmy Carter, you would choose between one of those 3 high impact pathways. And same thing for the students we'll be recruiting for next year. They're sitting in middle school as 8th graders right now. They haven't started anything. These will be the choices and the supports that we provide to them. So biggest takeaway is that if you're at La Jolla Early College, Thelma Salinas, or HSP, and you want to continue with Jimmy Carter Early College and you're a 10th or 11th grader, we are honoring our commitment to the pathway you've chosen, and you will be able to finish that. The other thing, Chief Gomez-Perez mentioned this, but we want to go a little bit deeper into it. We are not proposing any other changes at our comprehensive high schools for next year. So what they currently offer is what they will continue to offer into next school year. So Juarez and Palmview will still have their P-TECH program. La Jolla currently offers dual credit coursework. It would continue to do that as well. On the CTE side, despite the fact that we have lots of duplication, we're not proposing to change that next year either, as long as there's enough enrollment to justify those courses. So if you have enough students who want to take animal science, we will offer those animal science courses. Notice the right-hand part of this slide, though. As we think about 26, 27, we'll be considering all of this to make sure that we've got the right mix of opportunities across the district and can offer the best system of great schools that we are working to create and to nurture within La Jolla ISD. The other thing we want to call out for students and families, even if you're going to be part of Jimmy Carter Early College High School in the future, you will continue to have the athletic and arts opportunities that you do now. So if you want to go back and be a coyote at La Jolla on the football team or the mariachi or whatever that is, that will continue to be the case, and we will continue to provide the transportation to support you in that endeavor. We have quite a bit to do to engage with our community, including our school staff, and get ready for next school year if the board approves this recommendation. We would ask you to vote on this in January, so you see that sort of part of the board vote here. So you're not taking a vote on this tonight, but there will be school actions that we ask you to consider at the start of the new year. Leading up to that, we have conversations planned with our school leaders, with our teachers and staff, with our families and students, to make sure everybody understands sort of why we're making this recommendation, how we're going to support them through it, and what it means for the future of their experience. And then we've got work to do to actually build the infrastructure for next year. So finalize staffing, recruitment, enrollment, setting the master schedule, a bunch of important details that we have to do to make sure the school is ready to go in partnership with South Texas College. Like, they continue to be an integral part of this journey, and we are excited to have them as part of this to make sure that what we are doing is supportive of what they need on the college side, and that together we can support our students to have even greater success and more students actually finishing with an associate's degree. So thank you for your consideration of this. Chief Gomez-Perez and I are obviously happy to take questions.
Members of the board, do we have any questions for Dr. Little, Ms. Perez?
Dr. Little, I know that there's a lot of work that's going into all of this, so I appreciate that to begin with. But when I think about the pathways that are being consolidated, it also kind of begs the question around what efforts are being put to consider future high-impact pathways. So if you can tell us a little bit more about what type of partnerships and what we'll be looking into to decide, what future options could be for our students.
Yeah, there's a few components to that. First is continuing to look at workforce data in the region to make sure our CTE pathways really align to high-wage, high-demand opportunities. And then with STC, building opportunities to stack onto those CTE pathways to lead to associate degrees. So those three high-impact pathways that we're proposing right now, to your point, those may and should change over time as demand, need, and interest changes here locally in the region and with our students. The other part to this is what the superintendent has kicked off in the strategic planning conversations. As we listen to and learn from the community about what people are really interested in, what they want, that will also inform what we build in the future years as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Pena. Dr. Little, I have a question for you. It's obvious that dual credit is important to all school districts and it's affordable for all students. What are we doing to encourage more students to participate in such programs?
Yeah, this goes back to the mindset conversation that the superintendent really emphasized in the K2 presentation, and that threads to this question as well. We have to continue to show and to convince our students and our families that what's on the floor right there, educational excellence, is truly their right. Many of us spent today reading in classrooms as part of National Literacy Day, and I've gotten to hear a lot of the stories and excitement from our team who was in our classrooms, and a good colleague actually talked about how amazing our students are, and they truly are incredible. I've had the good pleasure of working in other places, and I will say that I am constantly surprised in the most beautiful and best way at the capacity and potential of La Jolla ISD students. Like, they will rise to the expectations that we set. As Chief Gomez-Perez mentioned earlier, like, a big part of the early college model is student support, but that starts with elementary students and middle school students, making sure that they know that they can dream that big and that there's a pathway and opportunity for them here. So that's a bit of a like ethereal or esoteric answer to your question, but it's really an important part of what we're doing is to make sure people start to demand this of us because they believe it's what they should have and what they are owed in their educational journey.
President Alvarez, if I can also chime in on that, it's also about conversations that we've had about data that we've looked at in terms of intentionality, in terms of programming and scheduling. We know that we have students sitting in our seats right now that need different conversations around counseling and course selection. We know we have students who have the data that could go into these programs who aren't consulted and convinced in many respects that to say, like, yes, sweetheart, you can. And then the extra step of calling in the family and saying, Mom, here's the scores of your child, and here are the opportunities that we have here in La Jolla ISD for your child. I heard repeatedly from parents last year, as I did my 30, 60, 90, that parents weren't even aware of the opportunities that we had and what was afforded here in the district. And so how are we, again, I go back to what can we do as the adults quicker, sooner, faster, to help bridge that gap between district and family? And what responsibility do we have to change adult behaviors so that student outcomes can change? And that happens when we build support systems integrated into our work. And so how are we using, say, for example, our parent engagement plan to really inform them about the amazing opportunities that we have in La Jolla ISD, especially when we have kids who have the scores and have the data early on to have the conversations to say, yes, you can.
Thank you, Dr. Sorensen. I mean, we have some of the finest institutions of higher ed within miles of where we're at today. I mean, STC has been a great partner to us, and we certainly want to take advantage of what they're offering. And of course, we're very fortunate to have Dr. Carlos Margo, who's a dean there to assist us with that. But I do know that during the graduation ceremonies, we kind of look forward to seeing those students that are receiving those college degrees prior to their high school diplomas standing up. And like you said, Dr. Little, that gave us a lot of pride. And what we would like to see is more of those students, participate in such a program. So I appreciate the fact that you understand that it is a concern and that you'll be moving forward to increasing that number to you, and as well as you, Ms. Bettis. Thank you, Dr. Little. Okay, do you have any other questions?
I had a follow-up question on that, on what President Alvarez said about the dual credit classes. What are we doing as a district ensuring that these classes are up to par or have that rigor that is needed as a dual credit class?
Yeah, Chief Gomez-Perez will give a better answer, but I would say we also have, as part of our partnership with STC, incredible requirements that our teachers in our classes have to meet.
So when we start looking at our staff that is going to be part of the dual staff, they go through a rigorous interview process. They have to fill out their application. And so once they get accepted or they get hired through STC to be associate instructors, then they have to go through a lot of professional development. And so they each attend with whatever area they're in. If it's the school of teaching or whatever it is, they attend that professional development. They have to go through extensive training, not just within the content, but also on how to use Blackboard, on degree works, on how to degree plans and everything, crosswalks that they have within. And then on top of that, they do have to follow their skeleton of their course that they have, and they're submitting everything through Blackboards that they're needing to do. And then to add a layer, just like we are doing walkthroughs with our teachers, STC deans or program chairs, they're coming in and doing walkthroughs within our college courses. And so there's a lot of not just support that South Texas College is providing for the teachers, but also expectations once they become instructors on how they are doing in the class with the walkthroughs, and then the visits with the program chairs at the college as well.
Right, that's good to hear, because I mean, I'm sure some of us who have attended, back in the day, right? We won't say how long ago, but these dual credit classes in school, sometimes some of them were not up to par, right, for a dual credit class, and it doesn't really prepare you for when you go to college. And so it's nice to know that there's those, instruments or those strategies there to help ensure that they are.
Yeah, I can say we've come a long way.
We weren't around when they didn't have dual credit, so
I wasn't. I don't know if I-
you're lucky. Ms. Gomez Perez, thank you very much.